Well, greetings, Minnesota educators. This is Kip Link. I am the Duffer, and I am joined today by my colleague and friend, my Minnesota Gopher matching outfit wearing colleague, the Dr. Todd Van Erp. We have made it to episode 9 of the Min Ed Soda podcast. 9 weeks old. We are rolling right along there, Doctor. What do you got for us today?
Well, I just appreciate that we are twinning again with our outfits. So I feel very comfortable today. And I was going to ask you, did you do anything special for Mother's Day this past weekend, Kip?
Really just kind of hung out at home. And My oldest was working on Mother's Day. And so we just kind of waited for him to get home. And then we went on a little family hike, but nothing too exciting. Actually, my big exciting news we're recording on Tuesday this week is my part time job is very, very, very part time job. Is the executive director of the Minnesota Wrestling Coaches Association. And today we had a proposal passed at the rep assembly, and girls wrestling will have their own state wrestling tournament next year. Big day for the wrestling community. So
Wow. Wow. That is kind of a big deal. That's
yeah,
I
many
remember.
many years of work, and doing a lot of background work and leg work and trying to get this proposal just right so that it doesn't cost too much money to the state high school league or to the member schools. And so it was a big day. Big
Yeah.
day.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And I saw that the boys volleyball, that one went down, but I got to believe that that's going to be the next one to get approved, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and I was listening, and it was sad. I mean, they fell 3 votes short.
Oh,
You needed 2/3 majority to get an amendment added, and that's when you're adding a sport is actually an amendment to their bylaws. And they had 28. Actually, and they needed 31 yes votes, and so it was 28 yes votes. They fell just short.
man.
There was one abstention, and then the rest were no's. And heartbreaking for those boys volleyball players and families that have put a ton into that as well.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you were going to say something, Kip.
I was going to give you a chance to share about your Mother's Day before we get to our guest. We don't want to eat up too much of our podcast on you and I because we are only the bit players here. We need to get to the star of the show. But
Yeah. And there's a reason why we are, a lot of you listen via the podcast so that you don't have to look at our faces. So um, we won't take too much more time. My Mother's Day, um, my wife was gone. She was at a volleyball tournament with our youngest daughter in Des Moines, and so I was home most of the day. But when they got home around 7 o'clock, I made dinner for them: steak, sweet potatoes. My mother-in-law brought over a salad, so we had a little feast. And then I committed the 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 sin of all sins on Mother's Day. I did not call my mother. So yeah, I know. I just saw your mouth jaw open there.
I forgot too. I
Oh,
mean, I
you did?
texted and I did some other stuff, and I had flowers sent on Saturday. But
Okay. Yeah. So I called my mom on Monday and had a chance to talk with her. So, and that kind of leads us into our guest for today, Kip, because our guest, she is a mother, and that's going to be one of the questions I'll pose to her if her family did anything special for her for Mother's Day. But our guest today is Sue Vang. She is the principal at Community School of Excellence in St. Paul. So this is the first time that we've had somebody from the charter school community on our podcast. So I'm super excited to have Sue with us today. So Sue, I don't know if you want to take a minute to introduce yourself, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your experiences in education and what brought you to the principalship at Community School of Excellence.
So Todd and Kip, thank you so much for inviting me to come in here and to share a little bit about me and also being part of the charter sector. So I am a mother of 6. I've been married for about 22 years to my wonderful husband and having my 6 beautiful children. They're in the age ranges between 10 and 19. 2 of them are in college. So I have 4 more to go in terms of setting them up to college. But I have been with a larger district with St. Paul Public Schools. I've been a teacher there, I believe it was in around 2014 when the second wave of the Hmong refugees came to the US. And so they needed teachers to work alongside with ELL teachers to provide a transitional learning program. So I transitioned into St. Paul Public Schools and out there in the program for about 3 years and then transitioned to being a science teacher, then went back into the classroom and then moved into middle school and taught science in middle school. And that's when I started working with students. And one day a student just stopped me in the middle of a lesson and just asked, "Ms. Vang, how come you're not a principal?" So at that moment, I just was curious. I just stopped my lesson and then I asked more questions and the students it was a really good conversation. And what students wanted was someone who looks like them. And so uh, on that day, it was, it was probably a calling too, because actually not on that day. It was towards the end of the school year. We were just prepping, getting students to get onto the bus to go to Valley Fair. And then a friend just said, "Sue, there's this program that's opening and you should apply for this principalship program." And I was like, I'm not interested in it. I love working with students. That's where the real work is. So that's just was just kind of making me think all day. So then when we came back from Valley Fair, I had like 2 hours left before the position closed at midnight. So I just quickly just got my resume, my cover letter, all of that stuff ready and submitted in before midnight. And then I got into the program, finished the principalship program with my district for that year, and then got some internship. And then I just loved it. I loved being in the administration world because you kind of in a balcony view, so you see how education in the system is run differently. You get to meet with parents, community members, and that's the part of that I enjoy doing, is just meeting with people.
That's interesting. What you said, the administration piece is a balcony view. I also found it interesting that you hadn't thought about administration until a student said something to you about it. That's kind of interesting. So how many years were you in the classroom then, Sue?
For 12 years.
Oh, okay. Same as me. Awesome. Kip, you were going to ask a question.
Well, I was gonna. I was with you. I was kind of just seconding that, like a student pointing out, and really just kind of showing the power of school leadership. That you don't necessarily have to be currently in a principal role for students to be able to see you in that type of role, and that like school, students see adults as leaders in a lot of different ways. And so sometimes that push from kids and that acknowledgement from kids of, hey, you matter, just like we do to them, can really be a big eye-opening moment and kind of push you off the cliff towards administration.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking about, a long, long time ago when I was in my 3rd year of teaching, I was thinking about it, but then it never phased in me that, this is something that I would like to do. But it was just that one question, that the curiosity, and then I stepped into it, and I don't think I'll ever, turn back on that decision. I really enjoy doing it.
I got my daughter walking through here, and that was going to be one of my one of my questions for you, Sue. Are there things about being in the classroom that you miss? Are there things that are there things about you've talked a little bit about things in administration that you enjoy. Talk a little bit about the difference between those two positions.
I think as I am an administrator and being part of that, you are also an instructional leader, right? So one of the things that I miss about being a teacher is the relationship. When I was a former science teacher, because I had to teach all these different preps, you only see students every 50 minutes. Then I transitioned back into the classrooms just because I love I long time ago, I did some training on responsive classroom, and I love the community building. So the morning meetings, that is one of my most favorite lessons and activities throughout the day, because you get to ask questions, get to know a little bit more about your students, and the activity piece. It is really about building the relationships with students, their interactions, the movements. So that's the part that I missed the most. Secondly, too, is what I miss is the instructional piece, where when you provide the instructions, you can uh, pull out and use data to assess and see where your students need support in, or where they need some pushing. So I really miss those pieces and the details of supporting students. Now, as an administrator, I don't get to do that. I only see the overall or the big picture of, when you're looking at the school data of students' assessment, and then you work alongside with teachers to support students. So there's a difference there. But one thing that I enjoy as a principal is I get to go to all of the classes when I want to, and really see the learning happening in the classroom, the interactions with the teachers interacting with students, the students interacting with teachers, and with students to students, and that's the best part.
Yeah. Sue, I wanted you to talk a little bit specifically about, you have experience in St. Paul Public Schools. So that's, the public school experience, which a lot of us are mostly familiar with. But you also, with your background, you also have this experience in charter schools. So talk a little bit about the difference, like, Kip, go ahead.
I just want to clarify that like many of our charter schools are public schools. And then we get that kind of sometimes confused, that we just got to be careful like how we're phrasing this, because in Minnesota, a great majority of our charter schools are public schools. So maybe we want to change our question to the traditional public school model versus a charter school model.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up, Kip. I appreciate that. So, Sue, speak to that a little bit about, some of the, and not just like the differences. How are they different, but also what are some similarities that you see within those structures?
In terms of the similarities, I mean, the systems are there, where you still need, the administration, you still have the traditional settings of the classrooms, the programmings, uh, they're very similar in a lot of aspects, and navigating, where do you get the funds, and looking at curriculum. So those are very similar in a lot of ways. The difference, in my opinion, and through my experience, is coming from a larger district to uh, a charter school, which charter schools are their own district, and there's not a lot of room to kind of navigate through the systems, because the system you are the district, and in terms of when it comes to decision making, HR, curriculum development, curriculum decision making, all that, I'm the district, and there's a few of us that are part of the administration. And so I think with charter school, there's a lot of autonomy there with the systems that we put in place in terms of programming. I think that's the reason why Community School of Excellence started, was because of community members. They really want a school that was focused on our students, especially our Hmong community. They want to preserve the language and the culture. And so that's how the school came about. And I think that's what's making it very unique, because when you enter into the school, what I hear from family members is it's the environment. When you go in, you see someone that looks like you. When you go in, you have someone who speaks your language, and you don't have to wait and navigate through 3, 4 different peoples just to get your question answered. So And another cool thing about Community School of Excellence, which is really cool, what I have seen just being part of the school, is they provide meals or lunch that's culturally, specific to the students. So every Tuesday we would have, I believe, pho or kupong. So those are like noodle dishes. Every Fridays they would have sausage and rice. And one of the best thing I love about CSC is the hot pepper. You don't offer spicy Hmong hot pepper at schools. If you go to other schools, you will see sriracha sauce, but at Community School Excellence, they got the best hot pepper there. So that's what's unique about this charter school, and what I'm seeing more about charter schools too is that I believe, I agree with you, Kip, too, that charter schools are public schools. Charter schools did come about is because it is about how do you save money and how do you also be innovative at the same time. And that has been my experience being a high school principal at Community School of Excellence, is that a lot of programming that we have in place is it is through innovation. It's through when you have an idea, you pull a team together and you make it happen.
Do you want to talk about a couple of the innovative things that you are doing at CSE?
Yeah, so this year, when we first started the school, we really want the school to be focused on the workforce industry and also getting students prepared for making sure that they earn college credits at the same time. What's unique about Community School of Excellence is that we partner with Hmong American Partnership, which they have the OIC program where they have the workforce industry partners come in to work alongside with our teachers and with our students. So this year we are offering our business, our health, and our IT pathways. And so these are, we're providing also experiences for our students to go on field trips. Um, and we're working really closely with students to really think about, their portfolios and building them up. So because one of the goals is that we either want them to get a job when they graduate from high school, or we, pave a pathway for them to go to college. And by then they've already earned some college credits. And that's what's unique about CSC. And I know that some other schools already have some academies or pathways, but CSC has this partnership with Hmong American Partnership and the work industry partners. And then this year we've added on project-based learning. And so the goal this year is to have at least 70 to 80% of our students to have participated in a project. So this Friday, we will be launching our very first project-based learning exhibit, and we're really excited to showcase the wonderful learning that's happening in the classrooms during this time, learning through distance learning.
One thing too, like as you started talking about some of those innovative things, I would love to hear a little bit more about like your community involvement in your charter school, because oftentimes we will see a greater percentage of families participating actively in the charter school because it is very much, well, all school is a choice. I get that, like, you can always choose to go to your traditional public or open enroll to a neighboring district, but charters typically have a place because of the commitment of the community to that innovation, or the magnet, portion of that charter school that's a draw. So could you talk a little bit about your family's involvement in your school, Community School of Excellence?
Yeah, Community School of Excellence has started, it was because of the Hmong language and culture program, and that's what draws the families in. And so two very big events that happen is we draw in a lot of community members, not just our families, but community members into our two events, is our Hmong New Year and our International Nights. And that's really focused on the culture and the heritage of our families. And our parents get to be a part of the planning process with it as well. Usually, sometimes schools, when they plan for events, it's driven by staff. But with our school, we have students and parents involved in terms of the planning as well. along with teachers and staff. That's one of the big pieces that we have uh, with our two events. Alongside with that too, we bring in community members to be a part of their programmings. Um, and that has also drawn our families. For example, we have Dua Mua, who was one of the cast for the movie Mulan. And so we have invited him to come in to participate at our Hmong New Year. We also have some very popular among celebrities who are our artists to come in to participate in our programs. Usually in my experience with the larger districts, we tend to showcase our students' work, which is great, but bringing in like Hmong artists that are out there to also let them and give them see that there are also people who look like you that are artists as well, who are entrepreneurs or who has, went above and beyond that the educator system and they've done something differently. So we've really provided those experiences for our families, and that draws them into participating at our events. And one of the things that what I enjoy doing, also seeing, is our families having that one-on-one interactions with administrators. And we get to hear their perspectives about their experiences with the schools, or whenever there's any other concerns or any praises that they like to share with the schools, we get to hear that.
Just like even one more follow up. I mean, I happen to know that a huge percentage of your school is Hmong, and that is sometimes part of the reason for a draw for charter schools, is the like-minded community-based school. Kind of there too. And it's, as we talk about equity and some of those other things, when you have the power of a community and the Hmong community being so close to your school, just what an outstanding opportunity for your students to see Hmong role models, as you were just describing there. I think this is so powerful when you have those opportunities that you may not always have in a more traditional public school.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's what it takes to get our students to see someone who looks like them, because that's what, like, just in my time, I grew up with teachers. I was only surrounded by professionals who are teachers, or we were only raised to, become doctors or lawyers, and that's really all what we know. But what's so unique about CSC is that we want to really expose to students that there's, if you want to be a doctor, or you want to be in the health IT or health industry, there's so many other different careers under those pathways or those areas. And so we really have to really open up those opportunities for our students to see that it's not just that one particular career that you can only have or can only, focus towards or achieve. There's many other ways or many other careers that are out there that you can pursue.
That is awesome, Sue. Thank you for sharing that information with us. And we're not done yet here, Sue. I told you earlier that we've been doing rapid fire questions with most of our guests, and you don't get off the hook just because it's Tuesday afternoon when we're recording this. So I'm going to shoot some rapid fire questions at you, and for time's sake, you're only going to get 5 today. Normally people get 10, but you're only going to get 5 today. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. The first question: what is the most interesting thing that you have in your purse or your wallet?
The most interesting thing. Okay.
You're a mom of 6. I bet you got some really interesting stuff in.
Well, I don't carry purses anymore after my sister-in-law had got robbed. So I don't carry purses, but I do carry like a little fanny pack now.
Okay.
Or my organizer. So in there, I have a nail clipper. One of the things that's kind of funny is every Hmong person that they must or have to carry a nail clipper. So I always have a nail clipper with me.
I gotcha. Okay, your second question is: what celebrity annoys you the most?
Oh, this celebrity annoys me the most. Oh gosh, did I have to tell you that? There is one
Yep.
particular, I'm not gonna name this one, but there is another one. Um, I would have to say, okay, I'm just gonna say Donald Trump, right?
Fair enough. Third question is, what is the thing you are most afraid of?
Um, I would have to say, loneliness, not having people around me.
Hmm,
Yeah.
I could see that. What is your favorite TV channel or your favorite TV show?
Uh, I would say I don't really watch TV, but Netflix. Um, I watch a lot of Netflix, so I don't know if that's a TV channel, but it's a program. Yeah.
And last question, Sue. What is the worst job you could have?
Um, I've never really actually thought about that, because I think that every job is a gift, and it's also when you have that experience, it's also something that you learn from it. So I can't think of one on the top of my head right now.
Kip,
Well,
you want to answer that one?
no, I don't want to answer. I was kind of like just thinking about like what she fears the most was like loneliness. So I would have to imagine a job that has somebody in complete isolation, right? Like it not necessarily about what you're doing, but you are completely in isolation by yourself all the time. To me that would be kind of like a natural follow up to that fear. But
I mean,
Yeah.
I think like with this pandemic, it has really made me realize that this working from home, it's a great thing, but we need this interaction with human beings, and that's what I learned throughout this whole entire reflection is uh, being locked up in my office or my room. It's just I can't handle that. So I need people around me once in a while, not too often, but once in a while.
And that totally scores up with what I know about Sue. She is a mover and a shaker. And I'm sure when she is at school, there's not a lot of sitting that happens when she's there. So, well, Sue, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on to the podcast today and sharing your experiences with us. So, our hope would be that someday you would decide to come back and bless us with your presence again. So thank you. And I'm gonna toss it over to Kip here. He's gonna wrap things up and then we're gonna head out.
yeah, well, before we do, it's kind
Yeah.
of big take. Oh, go
Thanks,
ahead,
Jennifer.
Sue. I was
Oh
just
no, I
saying,
just said thank you for this opportunity.
my
You
big
got her again.
my big takeaway from today was just I love when we meet with charter leaders and charter teachers and you hear about the community and the community involvement. I think it's one of the things that we continue to strive for in a more traditional public school setting is getting that big overwhelming community support, and that's really what made a charter school happen, is that overwhelming sense of community. And so I just so appreciate just being reminded of that often. And as someone who's traditionally worked in that traditional public school model of just having to get out and just keep shouting the messages to the community and trying to get the community to shout back and be a part of co-constructing and building things. So how about you, Todd? Anything
Yeah.
big that you're
And I
taking away?
was same thing for me. Same thing for me too, Kip, the whole piece around community and then how that relationship with your community and your families really helps drive the programming. I've been talking with Sue for quite a few months here and just all the neat programs that they have at CSE is really neat. And it's kind of like when I was at a magnet school, part of the thing was they told us to scream the theme. So they've got a lot of awesome things going on at CSE and they should be screaming their theme there. So, well, Kip, we're going to bag up episode number 9 here. Thank you so much, Sue. We appreciate you being on.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, and wherever you are listening, if you are listening on Spotify or Anchor or Breaker or one of the other 6 podcasting apps that we're currently on, make sure you hit like or subscribe so that our episodes just load whenever we drop them, which are approximately weekly. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel. It is Min Ed Soda for that YouTube channel, MINN capital ED SOTA, and it's also the hashtag to find us on Twitter. Still waiting for some of those things to take off though, Todd, but we're sticking with it. We've got great guests. Eventually, it's going to all just take care of itself.
Well, I know, Kip, as long as I keep giving my kids coins or paper money to listen, I think it's going to take off.
Let's hope. All right. For the doctor, I'm the Duffer. Special thank you to Sue for joining us today. And that is a wrap on episode 9 of the Min Ed Soda podcast.